As well. Welcome, and I thank all of you. It's been many years since I've done something like this, and so I am really honored that all of you have come tonight. We're going to talk about anxiety, and the reason why we're talking about anxiety is because it is pervasive. It's pervasive in our society. It is no longer that we're just stressed. People are truly anxious, and there is a real difference between just being stressed and feeling anxious. And we're going to talk about some holistic strategies. How many of you here are parents? I need to give me an idea of how many are parents. Okay, how many of you are therapists and in the community? All right, how many of you are teachers? And okay, we got some teachers and parents, so we've got quite a few here. Because we're looking, I said school year, but basically it's to make it calmer for ourselves as well as those that we love and we care about and we serve. That happens for all of us. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about Falcone Institute and what we do and why we do it, because it dovetails in with a holistic principle of how to address the body and the mind and eventually the heart of every individual. And that is really a necessary thing in today's anxious world. When I was preparing this discussion, I realized I'm talking about something that is not linear. It is not a linear process. When we're talking about anxiety, it is something that is pervasive and it happens in a holistic way. So it's not that we can generally say that anxiety is A, B, C, and go from there, though we sometimes try to address it in that kind of way. So I'm going to make the diligent attempt to make sure that I present something that isn't necessarily in a linear way, um, And so we're gonna just see how this works out. All right. The next slide, please. We're looking at and we're talking about anxiety. All right. And the thing about anxiety is that it is not something that is rigid, really. It is something that is really fluid, and it is, if we can conceptualize your cell body, the cells in your body are not rigid. They're fluid. They have a wall around them. They have a boundary on them. Yet they contain a lot of information, a lot of activity. So when you're looking at anxiety, we have a mind involved, we have a body involved, we have our social self, and we have our heart that is involved. All of these aspects are involved when we're looking at a concept of anxiety, of what does it mean and how does it affect us. It generally flows from the external. We get anxious about something that is external, and then we have an internal response. Though there are times when people who can have a panic attack do not know why they are having the panic attack. So something internal and it's unconscious gets triggered, and they don't know what to do about it. So hopefully we're going to be able to give some ways and methods to address these issues. We get anxious at work, home, family, peers. We have online now, social media that we didn't have 15 or 20 years ago affecting us in the manner that is astronomical. We see our kids come in and we don't even realize that they're anxious about something because they can mask it so well. And yet their system is demonstrating that they are disturbed on the inside. We know that school is an environment, and I'm not talking about just elementary, middle, or high school. College students by the drove are really having a difficult time. And they are relying more and more on things such as AI and prescription medications to foster their support, to change their internal state, because they don't necessarily have really good control. I was speaking to an older adolescent client yesterday. She's rooming with 5 young ladies, and she offhandedly says, yeah, everyone focuses on AI, and we all are on some form of prescription medication. 5 out of 5. That's a lot of people. And it's something that, as I talk tonight, and I feel really strongly about, take whatever you can get from this. Hopefully I can reach your hearts, your minds, and give you ideas. Take it. We need it. We are in a desperate, desperate situation right now. And I see too many people nodding their head yes, so I know that is, we're all in it. So when we're looking at this slide here, the mind is usually, we think of the cognitive, it's thinking, and it develops. It grows, it changes. We know that. We look at the body, the somatic, and we're going to talk about interoception. It's the emotional aspect, and that also develops. The area for us where there's the integration, where you have the internal locus of control, and this is scientifically supported, is in our hearts. And you have to go get... Oh, okay. So I'm going to explain this to you. I'm going to explain this. Our hearts have the largest and most powerful electromagnetic field of our body. Now we're going to do something. In my own anxiety, I didn't start out doing this, so we're going to do it now. Okay? Okay. You're fluid. That's good. We're fluid. Okay. Why? Why is this working? What am I doing? What's causing this to light up? What?
It's a circuit.
Well, but you're right, it's a circuit. But what's causing this circuit to light up?
Your electromagnetic field.
Right. What I really want to show, and I'll be doing this more later, is to get you to understand that anxiety is pervasive. It's out here in the field, I'm going to call it, as well as it's inside of us. So when you have someone who is in a state, the very first thing you do, it's like putting your air mask on, they say all the time in those good old airplanes, you got to get yourself calmed first. It's not a matter of, well, you should or shouldn't, could or wouldn't. It's a matter of you do. We do. And we know we're not perfect, but the more that you have this awareness, the more that you are able to be in a better sense of alignment and control of yourself, especially in this day and age, because you never know what you're going to read. You never know what you're going to see. And there's always something that is there to increase the blood pressure, increase your alarm, do your own catastrophizing, whatever happens. Be aware, and we'll talk more about it. It's your heart. And you're going to learn some techniques today to talk about going to the heart as a means of allowing yourself to have your own better self-regulation and eventually better self-regulation for those that you care about, those that you serve. This can be done with a whole class. I have done it. And once they start understanding, then they start realizing they have to be aware of their own internal control and not start, blaming everybody that's out there. Make sense? Okay. So we're going to go to the next one. Okay, I brought a definition of anxiety. This is not the only definition, but it's the one that I'm looking at because probably it served me the best, okay, in this situation. It's an automatic. It's not that you're registering. It's not that you're thinking about it. It's your automatic nervous system. And it is neurophysiological, okay? It's a state of alarm caused by a cognitive, generally it's a cognitive appraisal, whether that cognition is conscious or unconscious. It doesn't have to be a conscious awareness. It can be unconscious of a perceived threat or imminent danger. Now, that perceived threat can be somebody giving a kid a scowl who doesn't even know that they're giving a scowl. They think they're thinking. That perceived threat can be somebody across the street who doesn't look like a person we're accustomed to. So a perceived threat can be accidentally the kid hitting the other kid with their elbow, and it's just something passing by. Or a teacher is saying something and they change their tone of voice. Or the parent that does something. So it's not, that imminent danger is not necessarily from our perception. It's from the individual who's experiencing anxiety's perception. Anxiety is characterized by behaviors. You're going to fight, you're going to have flight, you're going to freeze, or you're going to have fawning. And fawning was something I learned just recently. It's the state of appeasing. And we've all met individuals that want to appease all the time. They're going to yes, we have probably done it, when we're saying, oh, I really don't like this. This doesn't feel really good. I'm not so sure about this. So these are real states. You will see the same states when you're talking about trauma. But we all know that trauma, stages of trauma can be sedimentary. You can have an experience and it doesn't register too big. You can have another experience, a little more uncomfortable. You can have another experience, and then finally, you're really in a state of anxiety. You're in a state of trauma. Anxiety is directly linked to the emotional state of fear. And so we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to form a conceptualization, not to minimize or demean emotions, but I'm going to hopefully bring it into another framework, stretch your framework a little bit about when we're talking about emotions. Okay? But we all are familiar with fear. Every single person in this room has experienced fear. It can start in utero because our anxiety, our senses can start in utero. Now, this is all documented. Everything I'm going to be telling you is evidence-based. I am not pulling things out of my hat. Science is here now, and it's really, really letting us know. So we're looking at a state of fear. Anxiety, it's real. We have got now, the reason why I'm bringing this back, and if you notice, it looks like a figure 8 or a lazy 8, infinity, because this is what happens in our system. We got a neurobiological, neurophysiological. We know that it's pervasive. We look at the mind, and the mind is talking about your cognitive, your thinking, how it develops. What are we aware of? But anxiety isn't just in the mind, in those thoughts. The mind is from the neck up. Where anxiety is really held is in the body. That's where anxiety is for all of us. And I use the term somatic. I have used that term for years and years and years. Because that's, so when you're using the term somatic, you're including, what number is that one? So I can make sure that I have it. Oh, somatic. I got it. My brain a little foggy here. Somatic means your entire body. And somatic includes all of our senses. We don't think necessarily frequently that when we're anxious, our senses are on high alert. Our auditory, our gustatory, our visual, our kinesthetic, our tactile, we go into a states of alert. Interoception is a term that's been around for a long time, but isn't been as frequently used, but it's coming now back into favor. And the reason why they're bringing that word back into favor is because what they're asking individuals and children and people, what is your heart feeling? What is your gut feeling? What is your leg feeling? What might your elbow be feeling? What might your nose feel? Okay, the issue is that the body doesn't always let us know, because it can be really subtle. It can be beyond our awareness. Because if you're in a state of high anxiety, what happens is confusion can set in because you need to use the language to answer those questions. And I don't know about folks here, but when I get anxious, my language skills go out the window. I forget names, I'll remember faces, I will remember actions, I'll remember the story. But oh my gosh, times to bring it back and communicate about it is not necessarily really easy. So frequently, what people don't realize is that when we are looking and we're trying to, because remember, language is a cognitive function. Language is linear. You know, when somebody's talking and they're talking in tangential ways or they're putting a story together that doesn't make sense, we go, oh my gosh, what's going on? The body doesn't always know. So where do you need to go? Where do you need to go to be able to make sense out of this state? Is you need to go to your heart. You have to go to your heart. Because the heart, and I don't know if all of you know this, the heart has in it many of the same memory cells, many of the same language cells that are found in your brain. The body talks. The cells of your body are communicating. It's the heart that is able to digest it and make sense out of it. So that's where you need to go. That's where we need to go. Now, what do we do? You know, it's like, okay, great. You tell me to go to my heart. What kind of airy-fairy stuff is this? I mean, what you're literally doing is, as you go to your heart, you automatically end up beginning to change your breathing. You're not going to hyperventilate when you're cognizant. You're actually going and saying, I'm focused on my heart right now. What is going on here? My leg might be shaking, or I've got an upset stomach, or as one kid said to me today, I got this big knot in my throat. Great. Let's take that knot and bring that into your heart, and let's have a deep breath. And let's see what it says. Now, because the heart calibrates. The heart calibrates the brain, the mind, and the body. This works, and it happens all the time for all of us. When we are looking at this, we're going to talk about the concept of awareness. What does awareness mean? And how does awareness fit into all of this? Because the more you are aware, the less control anxiety has over you. That's all of us. The person that's having a panic attack and understands what it means to have a panic attack can stop their panic attack. They know this. This is done time and time again. That's what they teach them. You go in and they're going to teach you, cognitive behavioral therapy. They're going to teach you dialectical. I mean, I could go on and on, what they rely upon. But they don't necessarily, when they're teaching the individual, tell them to go into their heart space while they're doing it, which recalibrates the whole mind-body aspect for all of us. Because we're energetically wired. We're wired energetically. And the part of our body that has the greatest energetic field is our heart. That's established. Science will prove that. They've said it. It's there. I know, you want a question? Okay, go ahead. Ask.
So when you say tell people to go into their heart space, they might not understand what that means. I don't understand.
Okay. So you want what we should do? Okay, go to the. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. It's not a cognitive. It's a visceral.
Okay.
This is visceral. Your body feels it. Okay. We can always go back to this. Go to the next slide because I think that's not the one that. Okay. Let me just. I'm going to answer your question. Just let me explain why I'm doing this. We at Falcone over the years, it's been developed that we look at 7 areas. These 7 areas, from my perspective, have been consistently productive, and they work. When you see emotional intelligence and body-mind integration, those are the 2 main areas that we always initially focus on with every single client. Because every client comes in dysregulated. Even if they're the client that is nice and well behaved and really doesn't say a lot and says yes, they're still dysregulated because the dysregulation is in that they are not connected to their feelings and their emotions. They really don't know how they feel and they're terrified to communicate. Yes, that'd be an example of somebody is really quiet, always pleasing, saying, yes, this is really good. I'm fine. I'm just fine. Nothing's going on. I'm really good. Come on, we all have friends like this. We know this. We're well aware of it. The issue is there's trauma there. There's anxiety there. So we look at emotional intelligence and body mind as the 2 main factors. We then bring in language. Because without language, we're lost. Kids are lost. And this is a language you can give children. They understand this. This is not something that is foreign to them. And you don't need to talk about the brain and the areas of the brain that function this and that. All you need to do is begin to say, hey, feel it. This is what we're going to do. And they get it. And you give them a language, basic words, basic emotional words. I mean, and SLPs, traditional SLPs don't do this, okay? The SLP here, Sierra, yeah, she came in and all of a sudden her world was like, whoo, okay, this is also an SLP's job. Language. This is really critical. It's critical to teach all of our kids this. It's critical to teach the parents this. It's critical. We then look at, from language processing, body-mind integration, we go to thinking skills. Thinking skills are looking at how do you problem solve, your executive functioning, are you able to make your world work, okay? But if you can't make your world work unless you've got your emotional intelligence, your body-mind integrated, and you got some language skills. We then look at content areas. Yes, kids need to pass their content areas, they learn skills. We do look at athleticism. And now when I'm talking about athleticism, I'm not talking about being a great athlete. This is where I'm talking about your being able to have your somatic, your interoception, being able to have that put together. So we're not talking about every kid coming in here being a pro athlete. We've had a couple of those, and they had other things to work on. And we look at family intelligence. People have to be re-educated in terms of being able to understand, what does this mean? What does this look like? Why is this important? Because it goes back to the heart. Because what we're learning to do is how to have what we call internal locus of control. We see in our society kids, people, adults that are literally addicted to what is on our media. And they are controlled by it. What are the rankings? What are the numbers? How is this working? That is an external locus of control and takes you from the ability to be able to go internal and start listening to your heart and your body and your mind and your spirit. Does that make sense? Okay. Where am I? We're at emotions. Emotions, that word, that tricky word. When I look at emotions, I don't look at what we're talking about initially as feelings. I look at emotions as being an energy in motion. And that's where it comes to being able to understand this whole aspect of heart-centeredness. Everything is energy. So all this is doing is letting you know and making visible my energetic field. And I'm not trying to get wooey here. I'm really saying seriously, that's what it's doing. It's showing you the energetic field that's within me. All right? So when we're looking at emotions, we frequently get into a story because we say, this is what's causing me to have this feeling, is this story. The feeling in and of itself is what needs to be addressed, not the story. Because that same story is going to come over and over and over again until you're able to address the feeling that's within you as related to whatever thought or experience you have. So your mind and your body equal a vibration. In this room right now, there's a vibration, there's a feeling, there's a group energetic field. When you walked into this office, you had a certain feeling based upon the energetic field in this office. You have a certain energetic feeling as to the reason why you're around the people you're around. Resonance. You can go somewhere and you can really like someone, but you don't have any reason why you really like them. Conversely, you can go somewhere and look at someone and go, I don't know why. I just don't want to be around them. Something doesn't feel right. And next time you might meet them again and you go, they've changed. Or maybe it's you that's changed. You don't really know. So when we're looking at and thinking about the mind, body, and anxiety fits in with all this, it's a vibration. And that vibration is your emotional energy. It's your emotional field. The energy in this field, emotions, they can't be destroyed. They can only be transmuted. They can only be changed because that's the law. That's the law of energy. And the emotion is an energy. It can't just be pushed away and say, I don't want to feel that anymore. Because it's going to come right back to you in a different shape, a different form, a different style. Anxiety is a fear-based emotion. And fear begets fear. That's what happens. The more you're afraid, the bigger the fear becomes. We know this. We catastrophize. The story, we could go on and on. That's what we do. We want control, so we create a story. We want to have something a certain way. We create a story. We have to make it. So we're going to go and we're going to take a look at the next. Now, energy and motion. That's an emotion. Basically, we're binary, folks. The world is really binary. We are either going to be in a state of fear or we're going to be in a state of love. So everyone sit back, and this is where I want you to experience it. You're not going to stay a long time. Imagine in yourself something that either causes anxiety, makes you rigid, and notice what your body feels like. Notice your body. It just happens. So what happens to your body? Anyone? It gets tight, constricted. Yeah. Anyone else feel that way? Okay, heavy. Does anybody get the heavy feeling that when you're in a state of constriction? Fear is an external locus of control. Fear is outside of yourself. Now, Natalie, this is where you're going to experience it. Let's go to love. Go to love and notice where you're going to go for love. And what does it feel like? Where do you go for love? Anyone? Where do you go for love? Right on. Now do you know how to get to your heart? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You can do this with kids, little ones, 3 and 4-year-olds. They get it. They get it really fast because they're all sensory sensitive. Those of you that are teachers, the kids you're dealing with now are not the same kind of kid you were dealing with 5 and 6 years ago. Babies being born now, they are sensory sensitives. They are born with an awareness that can be really scary. I work with a second grader. The things that come out and have learning issues, I could go on and on. Things that come out of their mouths is like, whoa, where did you learn this? Yeah, I better be on my toes, whether they're happy or whether they're unhappy. So when you're looking at emotions, energy and motion, I encourage you to start to look at things as either fear or love. Because when you're looking in the fear area, it's an external locus of control. You have anger, you have anxiety, you have rigidity, you blame, judgment. Judgment gets into shame, shoulds, coulds, wouldn'ts. You get into confusion. We have hate and resentment. You get into avoidance. You get stuck or you get fixed in the story. And the way that you're able to shift is when you go to love. Love is expansive. Love can be a calmness and you feel a level of flexibility. You're able to deal with forgiveness and let go of resentment. Forgiveness does not mean that you forget. I just want people to understand that. You still can remember, you don't have to have the emotional lock in it. There's a difference. You end up having more self-love, you have joy, you have clarity. Now I'm going to talk about discernment versus judgment because we don't necessarily look at things in that kind of way. We're always in the realm, or usually in the realm, of making a judgment. And judgment really is in a state of critiquing or negativity, or like I said before, shoulds or shouldn'ts. When we're looking at discernment, discernment is a different state. Discernment comes from the heart. Discernment requires compassion, it requires understanding, it requires courage. Discernment is saying, I don't really want to do this, and this is the healthiest thing I need to do. This is the thing that allows me to move where I need to move in a manner that is healthy, not just for myself, but for others. So discernment requires very much a heartfelt, centered, courageous attitude. Because when you look at courage, courage faces fear. Courage faces fear. Brene Brown has always said, lean heavy into that courage. You got to lean heavy into it because there was an understanding that that involves a lot of fear. So when we're looking at compassion and we're looking at understanding and appreciation, those are qualities we have to learn to give to ourselves in our heart space. Because it allows us then to move through our own fear. And we can't facilitate other people's fears until we have really learned how to move through our own fears. So when you get in a state of love and you're understanding that, you're going to flow. You're going to have a sense of wisdom because through that love, you transmute, you change that which is of conflict and confusion. This all is part of looking at anxiety. These are all methods that allow us then to shift. And when we shift, those around us shift. It's just the way it is. Okay, Natalie, do you have a question?
No.
It made sense? Okay, thank you for your patience. Okay, thank you. All right. And I think we're going to go here. So we're looking at, okay, how do you do this? This is great in theory. This sounds like it's a massive challenge. And how do you do it? Well, first of all, you learn about it. You get some idea, some understanding. You have to have an awareness of what you're talking about or what I'm mentioning about the somatic and the interoception. You have to be aware that emotions are held in your body. Your body keeps the score. Not just yours, mine does, everybody's does. And that score is always there until we have the ability to take that thought and take that emotion, and with awareness in our heart, we separate it. And it's real. It can happen. That's the cleaning crew, by the way. Okay, so the awareness. So when you're in this state of fear constriction, the movement has got to be from the fear into the love. It can't go in any other direction. So as you are aware, you begin to notice. You begin to notice that upset stomach. Okay, and if you're doing the interoception, okay, you're saying, what is my gut saying to me? But you have to know where that gut is located. And then you take that feeling in your gut. You can give it a sound, you can give it a taste, you can give it a smell, you can give it a dimension, and you literally bring it up into your heart space. And you say to the heart, in your heart, I welcome you, because you can't push it away. Because if you go to push the fear away, it's going to come back 5 times as hard. It just does. So you've got to welcome it, and you've got to accept it and say, okay, now I'm going to transmute it. I want to learn from you. I want to know, what are you about, so I can make a change in myself, in my awareness. The more that you do this, the decrease you have in anxiety. It's part of how it works. Our body wants to heal. It doesn't want to stay in a state of stuckness, in a state of, it breaks down if it does. I think we've all experienced that at one time or another, that this process is a flow. It's from an acknowledgement. It's an understanding. And there's a lot of books, there's a lot of material written about how when you acknowledge what's going on in the body, there are lots and lots of changes. It's like acknowledging that something isn't working in order to figure out how to make it work. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So you're looking at, as I'm talking about tapping, sound, movement, language, I'm going to discuss some of those as methods, and so that you're able to get an idea of what it means to have a shift in the feeling. Because when the feeling state shifts into a state of love, and love doesn't mean you're wishy-washy. It's strength. We're not talking about passive. I mean, think of the passion that comes out of people when they are really passionate about something and their heart is involved in it. It's not wishy. It's strength. It's power. It has purpose behind it. It has a presence. It has a care and an understanding. Because people make things happen out of love. And I want to say something here. People, energy is energy. I'm going to say this. The energy that I get is the same energy as every single person in this room gets. Energy doesn't start out as fear, or it doesn't start out as love. It just is. It's just in the universe. It's what we do with it. It's how we make it work. It's how we make it happen. That's what makes the difference in the energy. Does that make sense? So it's not that Well, some energy is just fear from some people, and some energy is love. No, it's all the same energy. It's what are you doing with it, and how do you use it? How do you communicate about it? How vulnerable can you be in certain situations? Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So these are methods. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of these methods. Now you started out heart focused. All right, what you're doing is you're going to have one hand on your heart and another hand on the thing or the situation. You know, I put it on your stomach. Sometimes people put it on their knee, you know, if their knee is sore. It sounds kind of silly, but it works because your body, your cells in your bodies have intelligence. But I usually say one hand on your heart and one hand on your stomach because we have the thinking brain, we have the emotional brain in our gut, and then we have our heart, our spirit brain. And that's where the power is. So when you take something that feels like fear or confusion, and you can do it with your eyes open or you can do it with your eyes closed, and you bring it into your heart, and you take a couple of deep breaths and you appreciate yourself. You appreciate the fact that your body is letting you know that something, maybe you don't know what it is uncomfortable or something isn't working. And you give it a thanks and you appreciate it. And you give yourself the compassion. And you are able to release, maybe not all of it, but a good portion of that which is called your anxiety, your fear, your confusion. And when you do this with the person that's sitting in front of you, you don't have their fear, you don't have their confusion, but you are giving love. Your energetic field expands and facilitates their ability to release their anxiety and their fear. It's no different than holding this little energy wand across the whole room and we're all connected. It's the same principle. It's the same process. And you don't need to say a whole bunch of things. You need to just be it. Think about when a baby's screaming and yelling, and you hold that baby, and you're holding that baby tight, and you're really letting them know they're secure. And all of a sudden you might hum, or you might go, or you might go, and you do a little bit of moving. And they may not get quiet right away, but eventually they are getting more and more soothed. We're doing the same thing for ourselves and then for others. So that's one technique. There's a technique called box breathing. It's been around for ages. It's called 4-4-4. Now you can do box breathing, or you can do a breathing where there are 4 counts in through the nose and that you exhale 6 counts through the mouth. That extra exhale it's like it draws the anxiety, excuse me, out of the cells of the body. So you inhale, 2, 3, 4, you're going to pause, and then you're going to exhale. And relax your jaws. This jaw, this TMJ area can hold enough stress that can affect your back and your hips, your sacral area. It is so powerful. So when you're releasing, it's open and relaxing it. Self-talk. When you are doing self-talk, the self-talk is I am whatever. But it is I am, because I am is in present moment. Even if you don't feel it, what happens is this present moment right now becomes the future. And this present moment then becomes the future. So if you're over here and saying I will is Future, future, never I am, never I do, never I be. So it's always I am, I do. Even if it's not actually happening right now, because your body energetically is going to heal and act on the I am. Am I making sense? People, okay. Thymus tapping. I don't know. Tapping is the rage. It's the rage now. It's the rage. Everybody's got it. But tapping, the reason why you do thymus tapping, and I mean you're really feeling it, is because you got a thing called the vagus nerve. I'm not going to go in and talk about the vagus nerve, but the vagus nerve, they finally are realizing how extensive the vagus nerve really is. The vagus nerve goes clear down into your abdominal area, all the way up, goes up your neck and into parts of your brain. And it deals with the sympathetic system. And when you are breathing and you are tapping, it interrupts the intensity of the emotion that you're feeling. So if you've got a kid or a person or yourself, I mean, there was a mom, and this is many years ago. This mom, she was a doctor, and she had gone to a conference, and I was working with her daughter. It was okay for her daughter. You know, all this stuff was okay for her daughter because it was working for her daughter, and she just thought it was a bunch of hokey pokey. She comes in, though, after a week, after going to this conference, and she says, I got to tell you, I need to apologize. Okay, what for? Well, I just thought it was a bunch of, you know, hokey pokey. She says, until I ended up on the plane and I was sobbing coming from this conference. She says, and I mean, I was really sobbing. I'm sitting in the middle seat and I am sobbing. She says, and all of a sudden I find myself going like this and breathing and like this. And she said, it subsided really quickly. And I said, great. So it's real. It's not a joke. It's real. Okay? Your thymus is right here. It's right here. See here where your throat is? Go right here. And it's a little higher. And you're really on the breastbone. You're actually tapping. You're feeling it. Because it causes, what it does is, it's called bone conductivity.
Are you on the right side of it?
I'm actually in the middle. I go right in the middle,
Right,
the sternum,
middle of the sternum.
middle, right in the middle of it. Because what it does is it's bone conductivity. Because when you actually take, they have, you know, these ways of taking pictures and so forth and really doing it. What they realize is it's vibrating throughout this area and in the back. And we hold underneath our shoulder blades here in that scapula area, tension. It's huge, huge amounts of tension that we don't even usually feel until it's reached a threshold of really pain, and then it'll go down our sacral area. So that's what it does. It does do that. It's pretty amazing. You'll find at times if you know something doesn't go right, I'll just tap. You know, I mean, I do it automatically. Educate movements. Okay, educational kinesiology has been around for many, many, many years. All right, the movements are simple and they may seem like they're silly. They work. So when you're going like this, and we just go slow. The slower you go, the better it is. But you're going slow. What you're doing is you're basically crossing your corpus callosum in your brain. So your right and left sides are having to communicate. So you go like this, and 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 you're standing somewhere and you're just, people don't notice what you're doing. But it absolutely, you bring in your breathing with it, and you're going to calm down. Figure eights. I didn't bring any in, but a figure eight is just literally a figure eight. And you always, there's a center here, you always go up to the left and around and down and then up to the right. Because what you're doing is you're taking your eyes and you're flowing. Your eyes have got to move, your nose stays still, your head stays still. You don't move your head. You are moving your eyes. And believe me, this really helps the eyes. Plus, it also calms you down.
Can I say something about that one?
Yes.
The figure eight, I started using that in my reading group because some kids come very dysregulated to reading groups. They're not being bad, they're just hyper.
Yeah.
They can't sit still to read for 10 minutes with me. So we do that figure 8, I had them draw it with a whiteboard marker.
Yeah.
And I taught them to keep their eyes in the center. But so I need to have them go.
You have to have them follow. They've got, it's what you're doing is when you're going like this and they're following their finger, it's calming, because remember, if you know anything about any of the eye movement desensitization, they're going back and forth. They're going, that's what they're doing, and you're really getting them to breathe, because it's also the way that you reread.
Yeah.
We read this way that people don't realize it, but you don't read cross the line. You read up, down, up, and around. That's how it works. That's the reason why you always go up to the left, and you have them do it with both their right and their left hand. Okay. And it works.
Is it better to have a pen in their hand, do you think? Or
we go on the board lots of times. We just go, here's a start, let's go. Let's see what you can do. All right? And see if they can keep a constant in their own mind's eye for that. Oh yeah, yeah. You can just, but you build up to it, because some of the kids can't, because they want to move their nose, and you want to keep it. You just want to keep them still.
You want to look in the middle of the eight, or you want to follow the line?
You follow. What you do is you follow your finger
with your eyes. Right?
With your eyes. You're moving them. Thinking caps. These are acupuncture points on your ears. Acupuncture points on your ears are powerful. If you've got a kid and you're in a plane and your ears are really sore, man, you start doing thinking caps. And what you're doing with thinking caps is you're going and you're in the creases of the ear, and you're going around and you're actually rubbing them. And then you come down here and you stop. And so you're taking and you're breathing, inhaling, and I'm going to exhale. I'm going to inhale again, and I'm going to exhale. And I do that 3 times. Now, if you're in a plane, or if you know how sometimes your ears get really clogged and really sore, it's liable to hurt. You take it and you pull them up. Just pull the ears up, move your jaw. It's going to release so much tension, and your jaw holds a lot of tension. That's what we do. You take your hands, the palms of your hands have a lot of electromagnetic current in them. That's how come you see people lots of times, you watch the Dalai Lama. His hands are up. Or you watch people in India, Maharishi and so forth, hands are up, because there's energy coming out of the hands. So what you do is you take your hands and you rub your hands. You're breathing. You're getting electromagnetic current. Put your hand on your heart and feel it and breathe. And it's going to center you. It's going to calm you down. It centers those kids that are dysregulated. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right. I am not big on stress balls. I am not big on stress things, especially when they're gooey and they're like swishy, because what happens is, oh, I don't have it here. I don't have one here. But anyway, if you watch a kid with a stress ball sometimes, yeah, I will use your stress ball.
Yeah. Right.
I know you love stress balls. Okay. When you watch them with stress ball, they're going like this. What is this doing?
Stressing them out more.
Right. That's all. You get those spinners. Ding, 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 and you're going, okay, wait a minute. And they get more stressed out. So even though I get a stress ball tonight, the bottom line is the bottom line is I would rather, what we do is we teach them something that is different. All right? We teach them something that is different, and I frequently couple all the time breathing with this. So it's always inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, heart. So that what happens is you are allowing the individual to have an internal locus of control. Stress balls are external. We want internal. You're moving more and more towards internal locus of control. I use aromatherapy all the time. I love this rose spray. I use it all the time, and you know what? It's really safe. And I haven't met a kid, boy or girl, or adult parent that doesn't like it. So when you're smelling, and you're smelling, you guys know what this is. What you're doing is you're going to the olfactory. Olfactory is one of your earliest senses. Babies, olfactory. And you know, what does that do? The olfactory can be very, very calming. So when we're looking at kids who are dysregulated, we always forget about the olfactory because that's not taught to us. We're not taught this. We have generally ideas and methods that are very confined. They're not fluid. And I'm saying if we can bring in fluidity, then what you're having is you have methods that are going to decrease anxiety. You may not be able to say, okay, I never get anxious. But what happens is as the person increases with internal skills and they are empowered, that anxiety becomes less and less and less. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the ability to feel like they are empowered enough to have some modicum of control over what's going on. And because we've all seen kids and individuals with big, big emotions, we see it all the time. And all of us get affected by it. None of us have an immunization from the news. None of us have an immunization from the world. It's small. It's on our phone. It's always in front of us. So how can we manage differently with less stress and more methods of interrupting that which we call anxiety and affects all of us? We have time for questions. I think this is the last slide, right? This is it. I can do some Q&A. Okay, let's hope I can answer your questions. Okay, yes.
So if a student walks into a classroom, or you do this before they walk into a classroom, does your anxiety start to, I mean, how long does it last?
Okay, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. Because one of the things is we are individuals that human beings learn by practice. All right? So when you start out, there are kids that are constantly tapping or they're constantly dealing with some breath in certain aspects, okay? And they'll say to me, oh, it didn't last. I did it and it didn't stick. And I go, excuse me, I want to know, especially if they're in sports. Okay, I want to know, how long did it take you to learn how to do that double flip off your skateboard? Oh, did you learn it the first time? No. Okay, how many times? Let's give it some chance. Let's figure out how you're going to be realistic. Because you're right, we are in a society where they want it instantaneously.
Well, I'm just thinking like in a high school schedule where you're going from classroom to classroom. And so maybe you calm yourself down to go into the first classroom, you know, and then...
They can always sit and tap. They can always, not a lot of noise. They can always go like this. They can always, they can put their hand, you know, there's things that they can do. They can drink their water. They can take breaths, okay? They can make sure that they keep in their water maybe some electrolytes. There are things that they can do that allow them as they're going from one place to the other. You know, there are kids that get bullied. We know this. We deal with a lot of kids that get bullied. And one of the things that we do is saying, okay, well, exposure therapy also works. I mean, there's a whole process with that. But it's like, okay, you know you're going to cross this kid. You're going to go past this group every day at this time. Okay, if you can't find another route to avoid, okay, let's see what you can do. All right, let's see how you can you do something differently? Can you learn how to say something differently? How do we get you to feel that courage and that strength? Because you're right, they may need to do it several times a day. None of this can hurt. That's right. That's right. I'm not disagreeing. That is really absolutely. So what you do is it's each time. But you want to say that loud?
Well, I was like, sometimes like physical programming too. That's like the whole number wrong.
Okay, you're talking about something that's true. That's true.
There are kids who come to school and then they won't get out of the car.
Oh yeah,
And then
yeah.
their moms say, well, we were there and we were in the car, but we weren't.
That's right. No, what we do is we go out and we greet them. We had to do that with a kid today. You know, they don't want to get out of the car. We go and we greet them. And what happens is, because these are methods that don't need a lot of things with them, you start doing it right there with when the kid who's in the car who's crying, you know, is feigning sleeping or doesn't want to take off their seatbelt or something. Yes, you do it and you walk them in, and they do respond. Music is another thing. This is a great way. This sounds kind of crazy. There are times when I tell kids, you know, they're using their phones for everything. Nobody knows what you're listening to. Just put it on your phone. You got your earbuds in anyway. Walk around campus. You're still gonna be alert. You're still gonna be present. It's all there, and it's extremely calming. You can't help but get calm. And a child that is really distressed, what I do, because you can use this in lots of ways, so don't be shocked. They hear it, and it resonates with their dysregulation. And then it's, oh, we're going to go to gentle now. It works. It absolutely works. And then sometimes you ask them, because those that have, you know, they don't want to listen. Okay, can you hear the sound after the sound stops? And they look at you. No, listen, there's a sound after the sound stops. Am I making sense? It works. Yes.
I'm curious, do you find that with some of your students, they gravitate more to one specific skill? Like, I'm just thinking in my classroom because I have students that they're not good at cross crawling because they need to work on it. So when we do it, they kind of timid away from it because they look around and they're like, oh, everybody else can do it, but I can't. And so I try and encourage them to do that. But I wonder, like, because I do brain gym in my classroom, and we needed to kind of connect all together to, I don't know. I guess my question is, if you do parts of it, will it work, or do you have to do all of it? Like all
Oh, okay.
does
Are you familiar with PACE? Okay. There's a Brain Gym there's four, you guys are going to have to help me remember because it's been a long time since I've been PACE. But you take water, you do cross crawls,
Yeah.
you do brain buttons, and you do hookups.
Yeah.
Hookups are really, really good, but they all have to be coordinated. Hookup is when you're going to go, you want to be in alignment. You see baseball players do this all the time, but you don't even notice that they're doing it because they're hanging on to their bat and they cross their leg over, and then they're going to take their same hand, and they're like my right leg is over my left. They're going to do it this way, and they hook up. So a hookup is when you, let's say, put your right leg over your left, put your hands out, put your right hand over your, and then you hook, and you're hooking up. When you're in this state and put your tongue on the roof of your mouth,
So that's what I do in my classroom.
it's balance, and it's also alignment. That's the thing. You want to be in alignment, because that's the other thing. I didn't talk a lot about this, but what happens when you're in your heart space and you do it enough and you're tapping, you get in a state of alignment. That alignment allows you to kind of be able to see, hear, feel clearly. You have great discernment at that point. So that you need to know sometimes how to make the right decision in challenging situations. And that's what it allows you to do. Yes.
Are these practices sort of a boost or maybe a missing link in a way for if somebody is being treated for depression? So they're having therapy and all kinds of therapy, but and they know a lot.
Okay, yes, because what happens in most therapeutic practices do a lot of describing symptoms, looking at situations, and so on, all right? And they use a lot of cognitive methods, dialectical behavioral, cognitive, whatever, okay? Those methods are really good. We use in the office here Socratic questioning all the time. We're big on Socratic questioning. We use it in all of the methodologies that we have. The difference comes in that we do not get hooked into the story. We want to look at what were you? Were you in a state of fear or you were in a state of love? And if you were in fear, how would you label that fear? How would you label it? All right. Where is that fear located? All right. What did that fear mean to you? And okay, let's figure out a way to start bringing that fear into yourself. All right. And transmuting it by either your compassion, your love, your understanding. Now, there's more to the methodology, all right, but in a lot of therapies, they get stuck. The therapeutic process is therapists are supposed to be change agents. We're here to be change agents. We're not here just to sit and listen to the same old story. We're here to help the client understand how they can help themselves also. Because, you know, I mean, you must see it. Most of your clients are on medication. And that medication does not solve the problem. It doesn't even get close to it. And so when I'm telling you 5 out of 5 young ladies, all of whom are under 22, all of them are on heavy duty meds, that's an alarming fact. Because it's a fact. I'm not making that up. So you're right. A lot of therapists don't. The issue is I came from special education. My background, which I didn't mention, I was a teacher for 14 years in special education. When you're in special education, you end up being a generalist. And being a generalist, you end up being forced to dabble in neurology, you dabble in physiology, you dabble in, my background was psychology, but nevertheless, you dabble in these areas and then you have to integrate those areas. Because every kid that comes into you, they may have the term, okay, dyslexia. There's a cajillion ways of dyslexia demonstrating. And so they use a generalized term and it's like it doesn't serve its purpose. We talk about depression as if everybody has the same types of 3x5 card of depression. They don't. There are those little subtle factors that make a huge difference. So, I mean, I know I'm getting carried away right now. I'm a little bit on my, I get passionate about this stuff, but this is all pertinent.
Do you call this somatic therapy? Is that what you call it?
I have used the term somatic for a long time, yes.
What's crazy, this is just a coincidence. Just yesterday, I was talking to a Chinese educator from mainland China, and he pulled up his phone, and everything was in Chinese characters, but in English it said somatic therapy, PTSD, I recognized everything, and he said, my students, I found a Chinese therapist who uses somatic therapy, and it helps all my kids. He said 80%, it's like, I don't know where he got the stock, but it's something like 80% effectiveness. Yeah. And he said, look up somatic therapy. This was just yesterday, and then I came in and saw somatic up there, and I'm thinking, I haven't even had a chance to Google it and
Yeah.
see what it is.
A lot of the schools right now are using interoceptive. Sierra, our SLP, looks at me, and because I've always been doing somatic, she goes, okay, you need to look at interoceptive, Madeline, because that's what you've been really talking about, and everybody's going to throw this new term out. But I've been using somatic for years. That's how come we have the 3 rooms over here that are low stimulation room, because I get a release from my parents, and I can touch my kids. And so we're doing a lot of what you're calling, and it blocks my mind, where we're doing this sensory, the vital sensation. You do a number of vital sensations. So you get kids that are really dysregulated. They're the kids who have the big volcanic emotions. You've got to get them on a table, and you've got to get them back in their body. The only way you can get them back in their body is by actually touching them. You're not going to get them back in their body by talking to them, because they're not in their bodies to begin with. A kid that has a volcanic response or heavy duty responses is not in their body, and they have to be touched in certain ways, and sometimes they don't like the touching right away, and then they'll come in the next day and they'll go, can I go back on the table? Can you get okay? Yeah, it did happen this week. Yeah, that's exactly. A little second grader who very fast. I mean, she moves really fast, and she was on the table, and she jumped, and then she went to sit down, and she slammed herself on her sacral area, and I had to flip her over right away, and I had to rub that sacral area. Otherwise, it would have really caused some problem. And she looked at me, and she said, it doesn't hurt anymore. And I said, yes, that's right, and you will never do that again. You will never come up, and you will never do that again. Is that a guarantee? Do we have an agreement? Yes. And so she came in the following day, and she was working on some academics which were challenging for her. And 20 minutes, she had about 10 minutes left in the session with me. She looks at me, she goes, can we go on the table now? I need to. And sure enough, we put on the music, and she started calming down and doing the breathing and getting her to feel her body. So that's a big area. I send a lot of my clients to people who do myofascial release or Feldenkrais, or work with doctors of osteopathy, because it's in the body. That's where it's at for all of us.
She mentioned Chinese lady, like my mom is constantly sending me, like, Asian people are stuff for active
Yes.
But I was just doing that just now because I had a really long day, so I'm just like massaging
Yes.
any part of her palm,
yes.
her feet.
Yes.
I remember when I was in college, I would fall asleep in class, and I had to like literally pick up my shoes and massage my feet to help me stay awake.
Yes.
So that's always a nice thing. That's always a nice thing to do.
You're absolutely accurate. That is something. One of the things I'll tell you, folks. One of the things when you have a kid who was birth was exposed to drugs. Okay, their kids are exposed. What I do with a lot of them, I mean, because they have high emotions, I put them on the table, and I massage their feet, and I use a lot of aromatherapy, and I do a lot of work with certain essential oils with them, as well as sounds.
Most therapists don't touch the client, but they can.
You want to know? I understand, because I work with kids, and one of the things is I get releases from the parents. I've had the parents stay in session with me, and they will watch me, and then they're shocked. Well, my kid, how did you get him to go to sleep? She goes, this is amazing. And then the kid is not dysregulated the rest of the night. Well, what we're doing is we're getting the system comfortable with relaxation, since most of these kids are not comfortable with relaxation. Your dysregulated kids can't stand being calm. That's your problem. Yes.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I sometimes you can also talk to holistic coping strategies if you want to do more simple terms. But yeah, I mean, like therapists like Madeline and then some therapists are more into basically the body, because for a long time DBT was like the gold standard. That's what insurance is paid for. Mm-hmm. So it's great. Most 70s, 1980s, and then really since the 2000, I would say in the past 25 years, they just moved towards a lot of like, trauma-based therapy with the brain, with the EMDR spotting, a lot of somatic and just learning to go inside and connecting with your body. And that's truly what a lot of people struggle with, like especially
yes.
kind of addiction. They're not comfortable in their body, and they're always escaping. So anything, and even like meditation, yoga, that also stretches.
I didn't put mindfulness, but we do that. Sure. We do that.
But a lot of it,
yeah. But the The issue is that helping the children understand that it's okay, that it's okay to feel comfortable. It's after 7, and I know a lot. Thank you. Well, that's okay. That's okay. And I don't want to keep any of you longer than what was stated. But I'm more than willing to answer questions. If you want me to answer questions, I have no problem answering any questions, or communicating about anything else that might be of interest. I bet it's after 7.
I'm just kind of curious what your kind of elevator speech is when a parent, maybe somebody, a neighbor, friend refers them to, like, what do you say you do? Or, I know you're an educational therapist, or what do you
Well, one of the things is I have an alternative form of psychotherapy. One of the things that's hard for people to understand, for a lot of people, that I will put kids on the table and I will do their therapy on the table with them. Adults will do the same thing. People who've been seriously traumatized will come in here and they don't want to sit in the chair. They want to be able to go on the table, listen to music, and be able to communicate and grieve or do whatever they need to do. So I am a therapist. I mean, I do psychotherapy, psychoeducational therapy. My team, I have the SLP. She is not a traditional SLP. I mean, she's trained, but she brings in a lot of these methods so that every person in this office, all of the people that come in, are trained. They are personally trained by me, and it's an ongoing internship. It doesn't stop. It's not always comfortable. It's not always easy, but they all learn and to start understanding, and they have to use it. So it is a requirement in this office that once a week, every person in the office gets on that table and does at least a half hour of the relaxation and of what we call our method.
Because when we used to work together, you were more working on the academics.
Well, I wasn't. I was there, but the coach they still work on academics. We still work on academics, but they have to bring all this in now because 5 years, 6 years ago, COVID hit and everything shifted. The level of anxiety, the level of fear, the level of confusion is now much, much higher. So it's not a matter of, it's an and. That's why I'm saying it's really holistic.
Yeah. It's hard to explain to people what you do with it.
It is holistic. It is. It is.
Sign a release form to give permission for you to touch them.
Absolutely. And that then includes, because we're doing brain gym, and sometimes we have to move their bodies to get their form right. So everyone in the office is cleared. They know that's part of the agreement. I mean, if they don't want to be touched, I let them know that, well, that's going to hamper probably your therapeutic process with your child, especially if your child comes in with some big emotions. You know what I mean?
Is the majority of the population children?
No, I have adults all. We have it across the board. We have the whole range because we're developmentally based. We're not. Yeah, we're developmentally based. So we look at across the board everyone from a developmental standpoint. That makes sense. Yeah. We have to.
What's the youngest that you work with?
The youngest that has come through the office has been a 3-year-old that we knew, and then we had there's a 4-year-old who's now been with us 4 years, 5 years. We get some kids that have been to lots of other places, lots of other therapists, and their prognosis has been really bad. And what happens is, because parents are desperate lots of times, but our methods are now much more common than they were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. When I was talking about some of this stuff 20 years ago, people looked at me like, I had a hole in my head. But I don't. It was really understanding the body and understanding the wisdom of the body. Now, you go into any YouTube trauma discussion, they're all talking about the wisdom of the body, and they're proving it. They are proving it, scientifically, biologically. So now, I feel much more comfortable talking to this group now.
Yeah, because if you have trauma, you can do all the cognitive up here talking.
That's right. She's got it. That's right. And you have to understand, any kid that comes to us who has had regulation issues is adoption. We see a lot of adopted kids, Any of them that come to us, what has happened is they go through this process 6 months, in a year's time, they're not the same kid. parents will say, people will say, what happened? Well, they've done this. You can't, and I can't give you a thumbnail answer of what happened because it is a biochemical systemic change that has occurred. So they don't remember. The child doesn't frequently remember their own behaviors. Yes. This is the elevator space. Yeah, that's right.
Into blood program and a mouthful and a script. Have you heard of self-havening?
Self-havening?
Yeah.
Self-havening, no.
Yeah, there's this is coin. It's just another holding company.
No, oh, this. I have never heard of self-havening, but I've done.
Yeah, so very natural, and then you go down to opposite palms to
Yeah, yeah.
So the lady that coined it, her name is Kate Pruitt, and she does this extra thing where you do output. So I don't teach this woman, I don't teach this primary one, but I just teach it to one. You can add this or you don't have to. She goes up above the eye, under the eye, to the side, then you transfer to here, and then to here. So when I teach it, I do 20 times or half times.
Yeah, because you can't hurt yourself. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Great. No, that's really helpful. Thank you. Thank you. I'll look them up. All right, I'll look them up. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, again, you're going to the body.
Yeah.
They're going to the body, and that was not addressed. I mean, they just didn't address it for the longest time. And teachers can get a release. You can get releases from parents. All right? And you can do that. And with those specific kids, that release is signed, you're safe. You know, now you just have to convince your principal. I mean, obviously, that's a whole other that's a whole other issue. But you're looking at what you're really looking at is you've got to interrupt. We're interrupting, and even for us, we're interrupting what is going on that then perpetuates this state of anxiety. That's what is this? Oh, qigong, yeah. But you know you can make up your own qigong. That you can, and they studied it, and they show that just doing your own made-up qigong can have the same response as the qigong by a qigong master. It's like, whoa, that was a flip out when I realized that. Not that I do qigong, okay? And you're doing energy. It's all because you're feeling it. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. That's a good point. Really good point. Okay, I'm going to say, I'm going to close it. It's almost 7:15. All of you have been most kind, most attentive. Please take something to eat. I don't care. Just take something to eat. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.